What's up, Kerbal-nauts, or whatever the fuck. Today I've got a demonstration of reusable boosters in Kerbal Space Program. So here's the sort of new Glenn inspired one, I suppose you'd say. It's got three vector engines on the bottom inside that shroud here, and this first stage is completely reusable and it will boost this crew capsule into orbit. Now I've got FMRS installed, so I could bring the ship to orbit and then land it, but for demonstration purposes only, I'm just going to switch to the booster as soon as I decouple. So I won't be taking this to orbit, I'll just revert the flight when I'm done, because it's for demonstration purposes only. But this does work with FMRS. If I was to take this stage into orbit, I could then switch back to this booster and land it just fine, as I would normally. Anyway, let's get through this. So we're going to launch the vehicle in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition and lift off. Here we go. Not a very high thrust to weight ratio because I've throttled the engines down slightly. So this thing can carry heavier payloads if it so needs to, but for now we should carry this crew capsule into orbit, or at least pretend to. Right, let's start our pitch over manoeuvre. I've got the full gimbal unlocked on these engines, so I have better control over where it points, because of course reusable boosters do typically want to flip round so the engine's facing first because of the aerodynamics. So having the full gimbal makes it a lot easier to control, as well as these fins here makes it a bit easier to control, so I've got things to help it on the way down. Continue pitching over until we're at 10 kilometers. Well, yeah, 10 kilometers. We're at about 45 degrees. 9 kilometers and 45 degrees approximately. There we go. Thrust weight ratio is reaching a 2 point something, so we'll throttle down slightly just to reduce aerodynamic stress on the vehicle. Upper axis height is climbing. We want to get it to about 55 kilometers, I think, is the capability of this vehicle for the booster. I might be able to do slightly more. It all depends on how much fuel I use during the boost back and landing, really, doesn't it? So for now we'll just do 55, because that's near the 70 kilometer range of space mark for this game. Let's throttle down some more. The second stage is definitely capable of boosting it to orbit. Right, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55 kilometers. Right, stage separation. So this will boost away and go to orbit, but we're worried about what happens to this booster. So now you can turn it around. I've got the KSP reusability mod on, which adds new parts as well. So these RCS thrusters are using liquid fuel and oxidizer to push us, so they're more powerful than the regular RCS thrusters, which makes it more controllable. And boost back, here we go. I've also got the trajectories model, which shows me the exact landing location of a potential spacecraft. So we're going to bring this over back to the KSC. Just try and... There we go. Oh, it's looking good. So that target is where we're going to be. Right, throttle cut off. Let's enable the air brakes, because they're going to slow us down, which means we don't have to do a slowdown burn like the Falcon 9 does, because that has 2 or 3 burn stages. The first one is the boost back burn, then it does a slowdown burn which also corrects its course, and then it has the final landing burn. But for this we don't have to do that course correction burn. We're going to hold a surface retrograde now, and the landing, this mod is, I believe, yep, throttle controlled avionics. Very good mod. It allows like very fine control over things. Like half this stuff I don't even know what it does, but I just use it for landing because the landing autopilot's very nice. It controls the engine's thrust, each individual thrust of the engine, the gimbal of each individual engine. It even uses a thrust limiter. It's very in-depth and specific, and quite a nice mod for bringing back boosters. Anyway, you can see we're heading back towards the KSC, so the boost back burn has definitely put us on the correct trajectory, as you can see. We're definitely going to be passing over. I think we're going to land near the shore by the looks of things. and also avoiding the buildings, which is good. We're landing to the south of the buildings, which is good. Now, if I was bringing the ship into an orbit that passed over the island, I could theoretically land it there, but I haven't tried that yet. That would be quite an interesting thing to check though, so we'll have to see how that goes. Now, the main thing about this is knowing when to activate TCA, because it's quite tricky to sort of judge unless you've done it a few times. Now, this thing slows down remarkably quickly, so the room for error is much greater, because it's a 2.5 meter ship, I think, so it slows down much more quickly with the air brakes, so that we're almost subsonic now. Yeah, we're subsonic. Looks like we're going to land just onto land. So I've got a rough altitude in my head of when to activate this already, because I've done this a few times. So this will be interesting. It's about a kilometre up, so we can activate it very late. Enable. Brings it down very slowly, which is nice. There's our shadow. It should also deploy the gear as well. As you can see, it definitely controls the thrust limiter. Very good mod. Instead of using the KSP throttle, it uses the thrust limiter because that's decimal accurate, as you can see. And the gear's deployed. Plenty of fuel left. Well, plenty. We're almost run out, but it's a good, it's efficient. And touchdown. Looks like it's not going to tip over either, which is good. So we could disable RCS, bring the air brakes back in, and there we go, it's landed. Perfect. So now I'm going to demonstrate to you the 3 meter variant, which is more like the Falcon 9. So we're going to return to the vehicle assembly building and open up the other one. Here we go, open landing booster 1 is the Falcon 9, I believe. Here we go. Now, I'm not using grid fins on this because they're not very good at slowing me down, and I don't need the additional control because of the gimbal on the engines. So I use more air brakes. I use 6, I think, yeah, 6 air brakes to slow me down proficiently. I have made a few modifications to this since I last flew it, so whether it will land well or not, I don't know. So we're going to find out in this flight. This will be interesting. My hope is it lands well, but we don't know that yet. Okay, right. Sort of same sort of flight profile. We need to tell this. Same sort of flight profile as before, except this thing can boost it up to 60 kilometers, or maybe possibly 70. But we'll do 60 for now, just to be on the safe side. Anyway, we'll launch this in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just like the previous flight, I'm not going to bring the payload to orbit. I'm just going to bring the booster back. The instruments are there. There's MechJeb. We're not using MechJeb for this though. So, as with the previous one, we're going to initiate a boost back burn. I do not believe we need to do a slow down burn, but we'll have to find out, won't we, during this flight. So, boost back burn. Interesting to say the least. Drop down so we can location. We'll move it further out this time, so we're quite close to the flatter surfaces, so we don't risk landing in the ocean. There we go, right. Now I'll activate the air brakes, turn around. Oh, we've got loads of fuel left to land. providing we don't need to do a slowdown burn, that is, but I don't believe we do. So we'll bring this thing back around. Hopefully this slows down professionally. Let's get to the retrograde for surface. There's the KSC there, quite far over the ocean. Again, conceivably, we could bring these back to the island. Now this thing's going to be going a lot faster, primarily because it's heavier, so it's harder to slow down. Because we need to dissipate more kinetic energy, but secondly because we boosted it up to a higher altitude, so it's got more falling to do. So those are two things working against me with this version. However, we have got compensation because we've got more engines. We've also got more air brakes than the previous version, so hopefully that should compensate for the more energy to dissipate. Kinetic energy, that is. Because the ideal landing booster would be light, efficient engine, and not have to use too many engines. Because that means it's easier to slow down, less expensive, you know, because less engines. But this thing's quite heavy and cumbersome. It also, you know, you have to use less RCS. This thing's quite easy to control. There's the grid fins I don't think it needs per se, because, well, this version, because the gimbal of the engine is ridiculous and the RCS is very powerful. So not to mention this thing just likes falling this way. It naturally fits the bill. Right, so it's, as you can see, we're moving a lot faster than the previous version at a lower altitude, so hopefully we can slow down enough. But also not hit any of the buildings. That would be ideal, wouldn't it? Right, we're going to activate this thing at 2 kilometers, I think. There we go. Oh dear. Come on. There we go. Oh, very close to that helipad there. That would have been interesting. You have a bit of horizontal velocity. I'm sure it will sort that out. Or it shouldn't be a problem because there's a wide landing view. Bringing it down. It seems to be doing a good job. And ooh, touchdown. Yep, that horizontal velocity wasn't a problem. Very close to the landing pad there. I wonder if anyone's landed a booster on that before. I've seen people land boosters on the VAB and the pad, but I haven't seen anyone land it here. You can sort of get a sort of idea of the scale of this booster. It's quite large. In fact, we've got a vehicle over we could drive, because the Kerbal comes up to about here on it, so it's a rather large booster. But there we go. Those are 2 reusable boosters in Kerbal Space Program. I hope you enjoyed watching this short little demonstration video. If you want to see me build any larger boosters or any sort of boosters with different components or anything, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Because I know there's more landing legs. There's also deployable wings, so you can glide boosters back. So, you know, we've got some more options here. But for now, those are 2 reusable boosters in Kerbal Space Program. I hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks for watching.